It's a well-known fact that the prices in Norway are slightly, and sometimes not really slightly, higher than in Europe and some other countries in Scandinavia. This is another question I'm getting asked all the time: if Norwegians ever complain about their prices, or it's only foreigners living in Norway prerogative. Today, let's talk about a very interesting subject. Do Norwegians complain about high prices in Norway, or it's just foreigners living there? Hi guys, I'm Anna, and I lived in more than 7 countries in the world. Currently, I'm sharing my life between California, Los Angeles, and Europe. Right now, I'm in Paris, the capital of France, but next week, I'm going back to Italy, to Rome. I run 2 YouTube channels, my personal one and this my professional one, and also my own relocation agency to help people like you to move to their country of their dream temporarily, permanently, and make a successful, happy life over there. So, if you're interested in this sort of services, please contact me directly. All details are in the description to this video, and I will be happy to work with you and answer all your questions about your relocation, how successful and fast it can be, make it smooth and happy for you. Happy life, happy relocation, everything you need to know. My email address is here, all the details in the description. Today, let's talk about prices in Norway. Yes, they are high, but are they high only for the foreigners living in Norway or for Norwegians as well? It's a well-known fact that the cost of life in Norway can be exceptionally high compared to some other Europeans, including Scandinavian countries. And you might think that this is the issue that mainly annoys all the foreigners living in Norway. But let me tell you something interesting. Norwegians can also be not super happy about prices, and especially now. As I mentioned before, no need to say it again, but everyone knows that prices in Norway are tremendously high compared to prices in other European countries, especially if this comparison between Norway and Italy looks like 3 times cheaper sometimes from what you get in Norway for the same price, especially if you're talking about rent, electricity bills, supermarket. And the main reason is that the majority of goods in Norway are imported and not locally produced. And here we're talking about custom duties, transportation costs, and all these additional costs when it comes to moving the goods, importing the goods from one country to another. Second, and very high salaries, very high wages in Norway, which means that local businesses also have to pay much higher to their employees to do their job. And of course, progressive tax system and generous welfare benefits. And those were just a few reasons out of many others. But how shall I put it? Norwegians seem to be immune from complaining too much about their local prices and their high cost of living. And foreigners like you and me are usually the ones to openly do this, to openly complain about those crazy prices within Norway. Guys, disclaimer right away, referring to Norwegians in this video, I mean a diverse group of individuals with different backgrounds, experiences and perspectives. Don't forget, the only intention I have today is to explore general tendencies, all of it within the context of high prices in Norway. It's really important to mention that Norwegians, as any other group of people, are not a monolithic entity. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is the key reason why I keep repeating to all of you before you make this decision to move to a country like Norway, do your deep research and find out the exact prices of everything within the country, starting from your price of rent, grocery shopping, electricity bills. Use social media, talk to people around who already live in Norway. They will tell you crazy amount of interesting things, or just contact me directly, because I have this trend coming over and over again that people, they checking only the salaries in Norway, and they tend to forget that there are other costs which will come together with this salary. And if you expect to have a salary of 5 or 6,000, let's say, dollars per month in Norway, just keep this in mind, that the rest of the costs in your life, they're not going to be exactly the same as you have them in your country. For example, your rent, the most important thing is the roof above your head. Just check the prices prices in Norway, how much you will be paying in different city of this country for similar to what you have in your country rent. Please check supermarkets in Norway. Visit their website at least if you don't want to visit the country physically, which I highly recommend you to do if you really plan to change your life, if you really plan to move from your country to the country of Norway. You need to have all this information well ahead before you buy that one-way ticket to come and live in a new country. And again, if you have any additional question or you feel like your case is something special and you would like to work on it in particular, please contact me directly and we'll have a look if I can help you and just to prepare you for that move to be really successful, to make sure that your life in a country like Norway will be happy and you will be really happy with that really difficult, really challenging move you take. But first of all, when you move to Norway or to any other foreign country, rule number one, and avoid this temptation to complain. I would say about anything. I totally understand that when you see those high prices in Norway, especially when you're super fresh in the country, they can be a little bit frustrating. But if you start complaining, non-stop complaining about those prices to all people around, especially to the locals, it will most likely annoy all people around you, regardless if they're native Norwegians or Norwegian experts like me and you. Just be aware that this sort of conversation usually put people down and tend to decrease their current mood. And it will definitely make those interactions or getting together process much less enjoyable than it could be if you didn't start complaining about the prices in Norway. And always ask yourself simple question: do I really want to create this unpleasant atmosphere? Do I want to contribute in spreading all this negativity? At work, with my new friends, with the local community, do you really want to be that person who keeps complaining all the time? On top of that, complaining about any new country, complaining about your new host country, about its high prices, and especially if it was your choice to move there, to live there, it will be definitely viewed by the locals as rude and totally disrespectful. And always remember that Norway, same as any other foreign country, has so many other things to offer rather than high prices. And especially Norway, its beautiful landscape, quality of life, numerous outdoor activities and gorgeous places to visit are just a few of million reasons why people choosing to move to this country, live there, or just to visit it. And believe me guys, living in Paris, the capital of France, I tend to spend much more money on additional things like shopping, going out, meeting my friends and all these things than I used to spend in Norway. Always remember, nature is priceless, but it's also free. Let's get back to the main question of this video. Do Norwegians themselves complain about high prices in their country? Yes! Norwegians also do complain about high prices in their country. And cost of living issues aren't the concern for the foreigners only. While the Norwegians themselves are quite used to high living costs in their own country, it doesn't mean that they're totally immune from affecting those high prices their everyday life. And while I was living and visiting Norway for years, I came across multiple reasons that might trigger Norwegians to start complaining about high prices in their country. And one of the key triggers would be those absolutely necessary things like electricity bills and other utility bills you are paying every month. And no matter that higher salaries in Norway might offset some of those high prices, Norwegians themselves still find that things like food, electricity bills, housing and other utility bills can be quite expensive, leading to occasional complaining from Norwegian side. You will also hear some Norwegians complaining after they coming back from holidays they spent in other countries, where they will often notice a significant price difference. Also, different prices for the same things in different regions, different cities of Norway can become another subject of complaining about pricing. For example, electricity and housing prices. And especially Norwegian students and younger generation with slightly lower income are often quite vocal about affordability, and especially when it comes to housing and education. I totally understand that high prices usually quite a hot topic to discuss. But it's very important to remember that the cost of living is a vital issue for the majority of people living in Norway. And both Norwegians and foreigners living in Norway have valid reasons to discuss and address their concerns related to constantly rising costs. And of course, high prices in Norway are a legitimate talking point in the broader public debate because they all related to economic equity, social welfare, policy considerations, the differences between different regions, consumer protection, international differences, and many other very important and vital subjects in our life. And of course, all these subjects, all these discussions are very vital for a society that values both economic stability and affordability. However, my advice here would be to approach this sort of discussion in a very respectful manner, as usual with a constructive and solution-oriented mindset. And after living in Norway for years, I can definitely tell you that the perception that only foreigners are complaining about high prices in Norway is a misconception. While Norwegians can be more used to high prices in their country, and they enjoy higher standards of living due to their higher salaries and their robust welfare system, of course, don't expect them to entirely ignore this crazily rising inflation. While it seems like they might have adopted their country's economic circumstances, they are often very active and vocal participants in all discussions related to a high cost of living in Norway. High prices in Norway are clearly a concern that clearly bothers the local and everyone who is living in Norway. And of course, the locals debate quite firmly about affordability as well as economic stability can only benefit from a diverse range of voices, but only as long as all the participants voice their concerns in a very civil and respectful manner. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about prices in Norway? By the way, let me know in the comments down below. Are you already living in Norway? Are you Norwegian yourself? Or you just planning to move from your current country to Norway? If this is your case, please let me know why. Why have you decided to move from your country and land in Norway? Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other question about Norway, about relocation to this country or any other country in Europe and about life here, please let me know in the comments down below. Approach me directly via email. All my contacts will be in the description to this video. Thank you so much again. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye for now.